All praises to Yahweh, Shem Yahushai, Barasham Rakakodash, and double honors to the apostles and to the elders of Great Stone, and salutations to the elect. This is James 5 precept, short and spicy and to the point, and our brother Makola from the Great Stone, Jamaica camp. 2nd Ezra 13, verse 29. Behold, the days come when the Most High will begin to deliver them that are upon the earth, and he shall come to the astonishment of them that dwell on the earth. And one shall undertake to fight against another, one city against another, and one place against another, one people against another, and one realm against another. And the time shall be when these things shall come to pass, and the sign shall happen which I shewed thee before. And then shall my son be declared, whom thou sawest as a man ascending. And when all the people hear this voice, every man shall in their own land leave the battle they have one against another. So basically, that this is about to happen, you know. This is prophecy through the spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, man. All praises to Yahweh Hashem Yahushai again, because there's a race war brewing in America, and this race war that's coming is going to be a very, very dreadful race war, man. It's going to be serious, you know.
This may look like the US Army is on the streets, but in fact these are militiamen with their own alarming agenda. We were witnesses to this extraordinary development, a major US city in the hands of self-confident and heavily armed militias, with police and civic leaders nowhere to be seen. It was a brazen show of strength, with an unmistakable message that there are new sheriffs in town.
Rioting and burning and looting is not going to answer that question.
Angry Viking is a militia commander who told me he wants dialogue.
And we're here just to protect the building. That's it. And we're here to do this. Meet and talk. You was going to allow it to happen.
But that dialogue quickly descended into furious arguments. Black Lives Matter activists, who have held a vigil here for 100 days, say the militias are a pure provocation.
Tired, exhausted, worn out. What else do you want me to say?
Do you think it'll end up as a fight?
Yes. People are going to die, bro. People are going to die. I don't know who's going to be.
Which militia are you from? Many of these disparate groups. Which militia are you from? Had no interest in identifying themselves. Excuse me, sir, which militia are you from?
We are all Americans here. We're all Americans here. We're all here for the same. We're all here actually against you is what we're here against.
You're impeding me from moving my group that way. Right now, are you not? Yes, you are.
I'm asking you what you're doing here on the streets of this city.
Well, first off, you're not American.
One of the most bizarre features here is this mosaic of different groups. We've got protesters, counter-protesters, we've got militias, we've got other armed groups who refuse to identify themselves. All of it is a recipe for confusion on the streets of Louisville and potentially for chaos.
I'm not going to bring a knife to a gunfight, sir.
And here's the danger. Americans are arming up. Nadia Ford, a grandmother, arrived here with multiple weapons to confront the white militia.
We've tried peaceful for years upon years, and it has gotten us nowhere. They murder us for being peaceful. So only when we stand up do they maybe take us seriously. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to stand up against this hate in America.
Eventually, some police did break cover. And this civil rights lawyer, heavily armed himself, said his aim was to run the militias out of town amid multiple threats to his life.
They said they're going to blow out the back of my brains and they'll find out where I live, etc., etc.
So where is America that a lawyer has to walk the streets with body armor, a pistol, and a long arm?
Thank you. Well, because I'm going to defend myself, and I'm not going to be shot down in the streets.
America's militias are emboldened at this volatile moment, emerging out of the shadows in a way I have never seen before.
When I move you to the street, you will load your weapon.
A few miles up the road, we saw a whole new phenomenon. An African-American militia with hundreds of troops. They have a black nationalist agenda. It's as much a cult as a military formation. This is the NFAC militia. It is well organized and quasi-military. It also proves a militia does not have to be white and right-wing. As hundreds of their armed followers march through a residential suburb, we glimpse their mysterious leader, known as Grandmaster J. He is a charismatic but enigmatic figure.
Move! Clear out!
Fearing assassination, his bodyguards surround him at every moment.
Jay's moving back, y'all. Jay's moving back.
What is clear is that these militias have a new swagger. While the election campaign gathers pace, other forces are showing they will fill the security void after this long summer of protests and violence. Robert Moore, News at 10. In
Yeah, can. See, we've been speaking of these things as a brother saying in the video, people gonna die, man. A whole lot of people gonna die. Yes, Grandmaster J, you're doing the bidding of your father, the devil. See, that was what Grandmaster J wanted to mix the Hebrew Israelites with. But, you know, through the Spirit of the Lord, we had to step out and rebuke that shit, because that's not what we teach. Our warfare is a spiritual warfare, man, not a carnal. I see, I did a lesson on it, telling you that I call it the blessing of Jacob versus the blessing of Esau. You cannot win against this man via the sword, man. You know, the only way to win is via Yahweh Shai, a Mashiach, or Lord whom we serve. Because the Lord is the one that's going to come and throw this man down. The sword is his blessing, man. And if you don't know that by now, and you go up there and take up arm heavily against the so-called white man, they're going to massacre you. And when you look at the video, you can see that these Edomites, they can shoot. They're not shooting, but if you look, if your spiritual eyes are open, you can see that these men have the capability of hitting the target better than the Israelites, man. You know? These men have been training for years upon years because they know of this day that it was to come. They knew of it. You know? The 2 Ezra 15 verse 14 says, woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hands. You can see the modern swords are the guns, right? One people against another. Shit is happening more. See, at the same time, you have people out there protesting about Trump, these Trumpanzees. You know, hey, shit is heated up, man. It says for there, see the verse 16 says, for there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another, and they shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions are standing their power, because they have their guns, man. See, they're depending on their guns. As for the Israelites, it's not to be so. We're supposed to depend on Yahweh Ba'ashem Yashai to defend us. Right? It says, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able, for because of their pride the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. So this is coming, man. This is just right around the corner, man. Race war, famine. You know, the mark of the beast, which is the microchip, being fully set to be implemented, man. So right now is a very serious time we're living in, man. Very, very serious time we're living in. All this back and forth that you seeing on this video, you know, people arming up themselves heavily, but at the end of the day, it's all about the remnant among Israel, man. Because the remnant wouldn't be out there with rifles and shit. The remnant would be teaching this gospel, or doing something to help further this ministry, man. I'll be learning, because not all the remnant basically are prophets, but you know, they would believe in the word of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. But this is what the remnant's gonna be like, man. You know, see, so you go out there carnally with your guns, you're gonna be shot down. You know, but this is what the remnant's gonna be like. Micah 5 verse 7, and the remnant, yeah, Micah 5 verse 7, yeah, and the remnant of Jacob shall be in the midst of many people, as a dew from the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, as the showers upon the grass that tarried not for man, nor waited for the sons of men. And the remnant of Jacob shall be among the Gentiles in the midst of many people. Because ultimately this race war is to decrease you Jakes, man. you so-called Latinos, Native American Indians, and Negroes, man. He says, let me get again. And the remnant of Jacob shall be amongst the Gentiles in the midst of many people, as a lion among the beasts of the forest, as a young lion amongst the flocks of sheep. Who, if he go through, both tread it down and tear it in pieces, and none can deliver. Thine hand shall be lifted up upon thine adversaries, and all thine enemies shall be cut off. And as I said, this cannot be done carnally, man. This has to be done through the Spirit, man. And this is what the remnant's going to be like. They're going to be moving in the Spirit and in the names of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, man, to tread down these devils, man, and everybody that come up against them. Psalm 44 verse 4. Thou art my king, O Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, command deliverance for Jacob. Through thee will we push down our enemies, and through thy name will we tread them under that rise up against us. For I will not trust in my bow, neither shall my bow save me, but thou hast saved us from our enemies, and hast put them to shame that hated us. You understand? So it's a spiritual warfare, not a carnal warfare.